Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road. What is going on, metalheads, all you metal maniacs out there? Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of The Metal Forge. This week I have the Terrible Texan here in the Metal Forge studio, and we are talking about, you know, how everything's bigger in Texas. The metal, the punk, the crossover, everything is always bigger in Texas, it seems like, and it kicks ass, you know. So, before we get into the interview with them, how the fuck are you all doing? Here we are, you know, a few days into 2023 now, and hey, we're kicking ass over here. We're taking names. We are checking everything out. There is no Metal Mischief this week. There is no Heavy Metal Wasteland this week because they were both on the year-end show. And fuck, man, like, that was a fun episode to do. You know, Crypt Rot was awesome talking to those guys. And, you know, just seeing the top 5 from 2022 from myself, Athena, and Jason, that was just awesome. You know, I was surprised that none of us actually had any kind of crossover albums, though. You know, Jason thought that he and I would cross over on the Night deal, but let me tell you, I did not give you guys my honorable mentions last week. They did, I did not. So I would honestly have to go with Night as an honorable mention. There's a few other ones like the Violence EP. That was an honorable mention. What Us Worry by Belushi Speedball is an honorable mention. There were a few things out there, but you can't list them all. And I think doing anything crazy like top 25 or whatever, for maybe one person that's okay, but for three of us to do like a top 25, you're talking like 75 albums in a year. Of course, you're bound to have crossovers at that point, I guess. But anyway, hey, consulting the Metal Archives, that's something really awesome. And this is not a sponsored post or segment or anything from them, but seriously, get on there and check out if you are into any kind of metal at all. Well, certain kinds of metal, because certain things aren't allowed on there. Like, I don't think some metalcore is not. Instrumental metal is not either, apparently. But if you get on there, they do have an upcoming albums section. It's actually not even just albums. It's EPs, it's singles, it's upcoming releases. So seriously, check out some really cool stuff on there. Because this week alone, they have over 100 albums, EPs, singles being released just this week listed. That is insanity, from so many different artists and everything all over the world, like Concrete Age, Creator, End Time, Cosmic Reaper. There's just so many listed. Seriously, get in there and check it out. But so hopefully you all are kicking ass. Like I said, the new year is always a time to restart, reinvent yourself, do whatever it is you do to make yourself the best possible you can. Because that is what kicks ass. That is where we're at with this. Hell yeah. So also, before we get into this week's episode, I do want to tell you all to please go over to patreon.com/Flamekeeper and check out the donation tiers on there, because it is a new service with Jason and myself. And you really don't know what you're going to get because, well, you do know what you're going to get. You're going to get the 4 episodes to 5 episodes of the Metal Forge each month and whatever bonus episodes I put out. And you're going to at least get an episode of the Mudhorn podcast and the Alehorn podcast. So you're looking between 7 and 8 episodes a month just there alone. And, there's also the unsleeved thing that Jason does on there that I'm going to be doing some parts of as well. And we don't know. There might be some more people coming on with more content in the year as well. So please go over to patreon.com/Flamekeeper. And I think it's $1, $2, and $5 are the tiers. It's nothing you're not going to miss. And, it helps make the production even better, helps us get more sponsorships, helps us get new microphones, so on and so forth. Helps us pay for promotion on the InstaWebs and Facegrams and all that shit. So, hell yeah. So let's go ahead and why don't we go ahead and get into this episode here. This is the Terrible Texan, and this is Pointless Persistence. All right, metalheads, I'm being joined on the line from Houston, Texas. And by the time we're recording this, it is pre-Thanksgiving. So here in Louisville, it got really cold this past weekend. And, like, I'm sitting here going ahead and talking like I've introduced you all, and I haven't even introduced you all yet. I have the members of the Terrible Texan from Houston, Texas, here on the line.
Hey. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thank you all for coming on the Metal Forge. Absolutely. Go ahead and introduce yourselves really fast.
So I am Paul. I play guitar and I yell.
I'm Calvin Hardwick, the lead guitarist for the Terrible Texan.
And I'm Avery Hardwick, the bassist.
Wait a second. I hear 2 guitar players and a bass player. But there's no drummer?
I'm also sort of the drummer as well. So we live north of Houston, far north, and there's not really a lot of musicians out here to begin with, let alone like drummers specifically. So it's always been a challenge to find other people to play with. Like growing up, Definitely. It was just never really possible. So we had to make ends meet. So I got myself a drum kit and I sort of write all the drums on a little e-drum kit and mix and master it using MIDI. And then we've got this whole drum speaker set up for our live shows, but we're still just as heavy without a drummer.
Nice. See, that's really cool because, there's been one person in my area that I know that's done stuff like that. And it's the fact of, it's not that he didn't want to have an actual drummer. It's just that he knew exactly the vision he wanted and just played to program drums. The whole band did. So that's a pretty interesting dynamic in music this day and age, I think.
It is for sure, especially with the technology available, because I'm a guitarist. I'm not a very good drummer. But because of all the technology available, I'm able to, produce some really, really good drum sounds.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's an interesting thing that you say that you're a guitarist but you're not a really good drummer, which, is kind of the inverse of Dave Grohl. When Dave Grohl decided he wanted to be a guitar player, he wrote his guitar lines like drum fills.
Yeah.
Like with the syncopation and stuff like that, how he would approach it as playing drums. Now, do you do something similar?
To an extent, specifically with my right hand, because my right hand generally is, my power hand. So that's normally what I hit the ride on or the hi-hat on, and I just keep all the power in that. And I heard something from Neil Peart a long time ago on a Rush documentary, and he said that the best way to keep time with the drums is to keep the exact same motion and do the exact same thing over and over again, and not even move up a centimeter more in your strikes, and that's how you get good timing. So I try to do that, but I'm not a good drummer, so it turns out to be a little bit more of a skill than an art for me. So it's not exactly something I enjoy, which is why I would love to have a drummer in the future.
Definitely. And that's very, very good information, I think, with Neil, saying something like that, because he was like the master of dynamics, I believe.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's a ton of amazing drummers out there, but when it comes to legit dynamics behind a kit, yeah, I don't think you get much better than Neil. So
yeah,
hell yeah. So tell everybody out in Metal Forge land, and we've kind of talked a little bit about this a minute ago, about the Terrible Texan.
So we are a 3-piece alternative metal band, and we sort of take on influences from Nirvana and Megadeth and some of the other sort of alternative bands like Dinosaur Jr., Muse, Pantera is a big one. Yeah. So we're sort of all up in that vein.
Definitely. And it looks like here you all have, based on the Bandcamp page, you all have a couple of different releases that you've got. You've got Do, which is a single, correct?
Yes, and so "Do" was the first single that I wrote, and I actually wrote it by myself in my old little recording room that I had at my old house, and that was before Calvin and Avery even came into my life, and I sort of just hopped on the drum kit. Those were actually acoustic drums. That was before I got Easy Drummer and all that, so I mic'd all that up, and that was just me just banging away at the drums, and then let's see, I did the guitar, I did the bass, I did the vocals, and it just turned into this 2-minute piece of noise rock, essentially. And that's what the Terrible Texans started as, was like noise rock. And then the first iteration of the Terrible Texan was me, my buddy Steven, and an old buddy of mine named Josh. And we all got together and we did a cover of a Molchat Doma song. They're this Belarusian post-punk band, and we did this sort of metal punky cover of it. It's called Tired of People. Okay. And after we did that, I sort of realized that maybe I make it a little bit more palatable for the general audience. So I started writing a little bit poppier and getting a little bit cleaner, and that's sort of what led me to meet Calvin and Avery with the next single after that, which was Afghanistan, which was a song I wrote about like right after we pulled out of Afghanistan. And I thought there was just a lot of chaos and everything. And it was just 20 years of wasted life and money and all that. And it was just really sad for me to watch because, I've got friends that fought over there, and, I was just sort of upset. So I wrote Afghanistan out of that. And I couldn't really nail a guitar solo. I couldn't really capture what I wanted. And I knew this guy in one of my classes because I went back to school, and I knew he played guitar. So I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, would you want to write this little guitar solo for this piece I'm working on? I don't think I can really nail it, but you want to give it a shot?" And he said, "Yeah." And he came over to my house and recorded the solo for Afghanistan, and that was Calvin.
Yeah, that was the first project I worked on for the Terrible Texan. It was the first time I'd written any piece of music. I'd only been playing for about 3 to 4 years, I think, at that point.
Maybe.
So yeah, it was really weird when this guy just came up to me and was like, "Hey man, I need a solo." So I was like, "I'll give it a shot." I was super nervous about it, but look where we are today.
Absolutely. Now, the second release, it looks like it came out a little bit earlier this year, and that is the Terrible Texan self-titled.
Yes, that is our debut EP/album, however you want to determine, track lists or whatever. But regardless, that was also recorded in that little studio, and frankly, it came out way more lo-fi than what we wanted, but, we did what we could with the resources we had, and I think it turned out great for what we did.
Definitely. Now, you just said on something right there that is an amazing piece of knowledge based in music. You did the best with what you had. And I think that really gets, pushed under the rug a lot, being a musician myself. I think that, just because you see bands that have crazy, budgets and stuff like that, that it's immediately going to sound amazing or something, when it, that's not always the case. But I think it's the utilization of the said resource. That's what helps fuel the art, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
That, you could have $1 million budget on an album, but that doesn't mean it's going to be any good.
And yeah, and that's the cool thing about it, is that if it wasn't for that record, we would not be, mixing this almost commercial record and mixing it in Dolby Atmos as well, or mastering it. So, it's almost a totally different vibe, and I think we've gotten a lot heavier, a lot thrashier, and I'm really happy with the way our new album's coming along.
Definitely. So that is the thing of what you're doing now, is you're actually writing a new album as well.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, you just recently released Playing in Pollution.
Yes, that actually comes out on Black Friday.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Well, because it looks like it's on the Bandcamp page already.
Oh, yes. You can actually go and support us on Bandcamp and stream Plain and Pollution there. But that is the only place where you can stream it.
Okay.
It goes out live everywhere else. On
on the Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. Absolutely.
Yes,
so,
sir.
With that, the artwork, it seems like that's been a big thing as well with it, where, you know, the Do single and the album artwork and this. So is Playing in Pollution, is that going to be, I guess, is that the single off of the newest thing that you all are recording album wise?
Yes. That's how we're going to be releasing 3 singles, a little 4-song EP of some reworks of our old material, and Dolby Atmos with you know, our more modern sound, something that's more palatable for the general audience. So we're going to be doing the 3 singles, the little EP, and we're going to have a brand new cover on there as well of the breakup song, but thrashed out. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Okay. So you've mentioned this a couple of times, and I guess what I'm struggling with here is I think I know where you're going with it, but you keep saying more palatable for the general audience.
Yeah, so I'm sort of trying to get out of the underground scene, okay. And I would really like to be playing more for more people, for the people, because I sort of realized recently that our audiences that we'd had before just really weren't getting into the music, okay, due to its lo-fi-ness with the amount of reverb that we had in our mixes.
Okay, I can kind of get behind that. So when it comes to your specific, you know, I understand you want to be as open to as many fans as you can, but like, because, for example, here in Louisville, you know, we do have a decent underground, you know, punk, hardcore, shoegaze, you know, noise rock scene that does a lot of house shows and stuff like that. And a lot of very, very fast pop-up shows in places and such. So, I mean, with being actually out of Houston, not technically being in the middle of the city, is that really a thing for you guys?
Yeah, in fact, it's gotten the underground metal scene here has gotten bigger and bigger recently, and I'm actually really happy. There's a bunch of really cool venues, like there's Trip 6, the Black Magic Social Club, BFE Rock Club,
The End.
What?
Is it The End?
I think so.
Yeah.
Acadia. There's a whole bunch of really cool places that have been popping up. In fact, there's this really, really cool place called House of J, and it's just some guy's house, and he throws these crazy punk rock shows all the time. And even the bands around town are really cool too. Like, I think End of Evergreen is out of Houston. Direlands, they're great. Sub Penguin, they're really grungy and really cool too. A lot of great bands are really starting to pop up around Houston, and I'm proud to be a part of that whole scene.
Definitely. And I know like the new wave of traditional heavy metal and new wave of thrash metal stuff, there's a couple of bands out there in Houston that I've featured on the show before, like Sadistic Force and Night Cobra. And I know they got a lot of stuff going on. Like Christian from Night Cobra produces a metal festival every year called Hell's Heroes at White Oak. And so, yeah, you all have a really hopping scene. And I think that one of the big things down there is that you all still actually have some really kick-ass fucking record stores, too.
We do, actually.
Yeah, because Cactus, for example, I love that place. And it's been forever since I've been there, but, like, yeah, when I was going there, that was always a great place. You could find so much cool shit in there.
See, where's the name of that record store that we go to? We're trying to figure something out right now.
And I know there was one called the Sound Exchange for a while. I don't know if it's still there or not.
Yeah, I think they were bought up by Sound Revolution, which is more like a chain thing.
Interesting. But that's all. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, nothing. You're good.
Oh, but I think it's always interesting to find out how the smaller parts of the scene work in other places, because, you know, Houston is probably 2 to 3 times as big as Louisville is. And, you know, definitely the population is a whole lot more there. And it's always interesting because, like, when you all have, like, your little boroughs of town, like, you know, like Crosby and Baytown and places like that, that you, like, we don't have those really. We've got some stuff here in Indiana where I live that would be the equivalent, but it's like nowhere near the size actually. But everything else there is a lot more spread out too, I think.
Oh, for sure. It takes me an hour and a half to get to downtown Houston.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
Would you be up by like the Woodlands then?
Even further north than that.
Oh wow, that's crazy. See,
It really is.
wow. Yeah, and I'm sure just like everywhere, I know traffic is terrible when you're going towards downtown anywhere in the world, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I passed through 3 different cities and 4 different of those neighborhoods, I guess you could call them, instead of boroughs.
Right. For sure. So with the new EP release, when is a goal to have that done by?
Oh, it should be done by the end of the year for sure, and we'll have a release date by Christmas time for sure.
Hell yeah. So you guys are moving straight along on that.
Yes, sir. It is almost done. We are actually laying on some of the final touches to some of the tracks tonight.
Interesting. Wow. See, that's totally cool because, like, you know, getting something done and moving fast on something is great, because I think it's like, to me, as a musician, it's the thing of saying, okay, I got to get this done. I got to get it out. And that just opens the door for the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
Do you all plan that far in advance or anything? Are you already thinking about what's coming after this new EP?
Oh, for sure. We once we got together and we released our first EP, we listened to it. We realized how good it really was, and we decided that we were going to come up with, like, essentially a 3-year plan, because a 5-year plan seems a little too far in advance, but a 3-year plan seems manageable. And we ended up getting in talks with the label that we will not disclose their name because we're sort of having a falling out with them.
Oh, no.
And, yeah. So that happened, and now we're sort of doing it ourselves. And because of that, we've decided that we're going to stick with our own label that we've created here, because, you know, there's no point in having an outside label. After this album releases, we're going to be touring around Texas and Louisiana, throughout some of the other southern states, and just sort of, you know, getting our name out there, showing the world our music, showing the world what we're made out of.
Definitely. And, you know, I think the labels are good and they're bad, in my opinion. When it comes to, like, you know, major record labels like your Columbias and Sonys and shit like that, I think they're all terrible. I think, you know, they're nothing more than... I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think there's a place for them anymore.
No, I don't believe so either. You know, unless it's like somebody like, you know, somebody who probably, you know, doesn't have the staffing, I guess, is the correct word. I don't want to say like technical know-how or something, but the staffing, because you know, in business you pay for those things, you pay for those people to do it. People like in Ozzy's camp, I don't think would put out stuff on their own. I think they would rely on somebody else to do it for them. I think it's why he stayed with Sony Epic for so long. But, like, you know, even Metallica did their own thing. They've got their own label that they put their own stuff out on. They don't rely on anybody else. But, yeah, because mostly, like, you know, your Sonys and Columbias and places like that are just credit card companies, essentially, because they're charging ridiculous rates back to the artist to advance them money.
Exactly.
And what's cool about the whole independent scene now is there are so many awesome labels out there that really help the artist, and it's a artist driven kind of agreement, I think, where you get some awesome stuff, some awesome product versus the actual, I don't necessarily want to say screwed. You don't get screwed or anything, but because that's always, somebody's always going to have an opinion like, oh, that person fucked me or whatever, but that's not always the case. But like, for example, most of these independent labels only retain your albums for, 5 to 7 years on the rights, and then they go back to the artist. Whereas, somebody like a Columbia or Sony is going to keep that shit forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then sell it to Michael Jackson.
Yes, exactly. Well, that was actually a bidding thing that
Yeah.
Paul and Michael became friends on like Thriller, and then the Beatles catalog went up for auction, and Michael outbid him on it, which, hey friend, thanks,
Yeah.
After Paul had told him he was going to buy it back so he could do it. But, he bought it back finally after Michael had died, I think, and then finally sold it again to Apple. So, why not?
It's back in the hands of Apple.
Yep, it is. Just a different kind this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. So a 3-year plan, that's really looking forward. And, I commend bands for doing stuff like that, because the demographic changes, lives change, people change, situations in life change. But having a set goal is I think where it's at.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. We would not be where we are today if we didn't have, our plan A, B, and C, like with the whole record label thing falling through, and even our first tour, we were supposed to go all the way to California. We were going to play in LA, San Diego, maybe San Francisco. We had a show lined up in Vegas, and then 2 shows in Arizona, and we were going to come on back to Texas, and we were going to do that. It was a for sure thing. And then the war in Ukraine broke out, and gas prices went through the roof, and then the whole thing was canned.
Yep, I totally get that. I've seen a lot of my friends have to suffer because of that, because of high gas prices and shit like that, and just overall, this whole summer for independent touring has been a kick in the dick.
Oh, it has. My fucking 16 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And that's not if I got a trailer with gear in the back either, so.
Yeah, and that's another big undertaking as well, when you definitely have, if you're taking multiple amps and everything else, for sure.
Yeah.
Try and get a minivan.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Might be the next.
I drove to California in a minivan to go on tour as well, and yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's definitely an undertaking, and you really find out who your friends are and who's in it for the long haul on the road.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears here. I'm going to ask you all some general profile questions. These are all about you as people.
All right.
All right. Name something on your to-do list that never gets done.
Oh man.
Everything. Laundry.
That was gonna be mine. It's laundry. All laundry. What about you, Calvin?
Take time to write more music. Oh man, finding time for that's tough.
Oh yeah, right. Just play Megadeth licks all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to be one of those important chores like laundry or dishes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you got laundry and finding time to write new music.
Yeah.
I get that. That's, yeah. Because if you let it sit for a day, and then it sits for 2, and then you're just like, oh shit, I got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies to both, actually.
Yes, it really does.
It's like, man, I really need to fucking play guitar. Well, I'll play tomorrow. And it's like, no, I gotta do it now. No time like the present. What brand or product do you buy specifically because you feel it is trustworthy?
Oof.
Oh man,
Let me think. That's so wide.
that's trustworthy. Trustworthy brand. You're asking a punk rock what a trustworthy brand is.
There's all sorts of ways you could answer that.
I mean,
Ernie Ball guitar strings. No.
I was going to say the Ernie Ball picks, the Prodigy
picks?
ones.
Oh, man.
It's all I ever use. I like those a lot. I always get those.
I use Santana's signature series triangle tortilla chip picks.
Yes.
Those things are disgusting.
They're amazing.
I hate those.
I love them.
Ugh.
You know, I never got the whole like giant triangle pick thing either.
Yeah.
I mean,
funny.
What's that?
Oh no, I was just saying they're a little funny. He recently picked up something in between. He found the Ernie Ball Prodigy shields, which is like the size of the tortilla chip, but like as hard as a rock.
It feels like a brick in my hand.
It's a stale tortilla.
It's weird.
It's a stale tortilla.
Have you ever seen the videos of people playing guitar and they've like 3D printed like a 3-inch guitar pick that has like really?
Yes, I have. It is beautiful.
I want to try one of those actually.
And they're just like sweet picking and burning it up, and it's like, what the shit?
So right before I left the Navy, I was in this death metal band called Melancholia. And the drummer of the band was this amazing guitarist named Hunter. And he went off and did his own thing called Demon Defiled. They're awesome. You should check them out. Anyways, so I was playing bass in this band, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, I need a heavy pick. Can you bring me a pick? And he goes, yeah, I got you. And he brings all of his picks. And he brings me this pick that's, I shit you not, 1/2 inch thick. It's a 1/2 inch brick of a pick, and I played. I think we recorded a demo with that thing, and my bass sounds awful because of that fact. But yeah,
no, I can't do that because like I play like an 88 millimeter pick, and it's the Dunlop green Terrible Texan ones, and that's it. I used to play the sharp ones, but I have an offhanded way of playing bass now to where it makes it sound like it's pick scraping all the time. So I had to go back to a regular style pick.
Yeah.
What do you do when you want to get out of your own head?
go on a bike ride, a motorcycle ride.
Awesome.
I sit in a cafe by myself and read a book.
I would probably, it's going to be kind of a musician answer, but I would just play, love playing me some Megadeth, you know?
Right on. No,
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. And, you know, that's actually a really good segue to my next question is, you know, about sitting in the cafe and reading the book. Is, you know, a lot of people read ebooks now. Do you think that takes away from the experience?
Oh, a little bit. I like the smell of the paper, and I like being able to hold it, flip it open to where I want. I like that way better than just scrolling. Also, I'm not fully down with like just, you know, I already stare at a screen so much already. I like the natural break with like a real book.
Definitely. Yeah, just like feeling the paper and all of that. Like you said, the smell and everything.
Yeah, like shopping for a book is nice too. It's always like it's easier to check out in a way.
Experience.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, the last ebook I bought was Ron Burgundy's book, and and I bought that and I read that, and it was actually really hard to read. Not because of how it was written; it was a breeze, but it was just hard to read because of the fact that it was on my phone.
Oh yeah, Yeah, those are always the worst. Is trying to do it on like the phone. Something that I've really come to appreciate, especially like going on tour and stuff like that, is audiobooks.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And like, I don't know if it's just because being a musician for me, I've really come in tune with like wanting to like listen to stuff, but like, one of the cool ones that I listened to, people say read. I have a hard time saying I read that book when I listened to that book. Is Confess by Rob Halford, because he narrates it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I know he's coming out with a second book called Biblical, and I believe he's doing the narration on that as well. And, there's just some people that you like to hear talk, and I think for me, he's one of them, because I don't know if it's his accent, the way he speaks, or what, but you know what I'm saying about that?
Yeah. Man, we're seeing him in like, what, 2 weeks from?
Yeah, he'll be in Houston.
Yeah, so we're gonna go see him. In fact, I'm trying to work the load in for that.
Nice. So is that something you do often, is stagehand work?
Yeah. The two of us are stagehands. We work together.
Wow. See, that's some cool stuff. And I've done that before. And it can be long hours, especially when you've got like a 6 a.m. Call that they're going to be there between like 6 and 7 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to drive an hour.
Yeah, he has to drive so far.
Right. And then, then it's like the all day deal, which, one of the interesting things about that was, I know some bands out there, I know Metallica does it in particular, but they have a 2-stage setup where, say, for example, they're playing in St. Louis on Wednesday and they're playing in Chicago on Thursday. Well, they're not tearing down the entire stage. They've got a set of everything, and the only thing that goes with them to the next town is like the guitars and basses and stuff like that, but they actually have a full second rig, which is wild.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I mean, it's already millions of dollars in production alone, so it's like, why not add a couple $100,000 more for another setup, right?
Yeah.
I guess so.
It's cool working this job because, like, on one hand, you can appreciate all like the production and setup way more, but sometimes I'll go to shows that I'm not working at all, and I'll just see, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a bitch to tear down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like wrestling is terrible, like with the sets of that stuff, and because you've got so much lighting and stuff like that you have to all the rig people, and it's just so crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What is the most annoying bill you have to pay?
Ooh.
Any of them?
I'm gonna be
my insurance.
Okay. Health or auto or all of it?
Auto.
Definitely.
And my renter's insurance too. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that never really goes away, even when you buy a house.
I know. It's $9 a month, but the way you gotta pay it is the most inconvenient way possible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be straight up, it's my eyelash bill. To get my lashes done is like $70 a month.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I like it though. I don't spend a lot of money on like other stuff, and it works out. Also, when you won't get it, but if you see yourself with lashes, you can't see yourself without it, so you're kind of locked into that bill in a weird way.
I imagine, that's probably a thing, No, I couldn't see me doing it, but like, yeah, I'm sure that I know people who do as well.
It's like getting your eyebrows painted on, and they're like, all right, you got to pay $70. And you're like, oh, crap.
That sucks.
That's so wild that you brought up the eyebrow thing, because I was literally just about to mention that there is a friend of the Metal Forge who does microblading. And like, it's like, that's a whole like other wild concept.
For sure.
Yeah, like tattoos are one thing. I don't know how I feel about microblading.
It works though, because like, you know, everyone waxed their eyebrows off in like the 2000s, and like that look isn't in anymore. So to get them back, you have to like tattoo them back on.
I don't know. I got caterpillars.
What the fuck?
But yeah, and apparently they do really well at it, and it's still such a very popular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy. But you know what's really wild is seeing somebody without eyebrows.
You right?
I knew a guy in high school. He used to shave his head and shave all of his eyebrows, all in the name of Jesus.
Oh, of course, yes.
But the thing was, he would change his religion like every other month. Like 1 month he'd be like an Episcopalian, and then the next month he'd be an Orthodox Jew. It was very strange.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I mean, I
love
couldn't see myself doing that. But what's that?
Said I loved the guy to death, but he was strange.
For sure. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg does not have eyebrows.
Does she not?
I guess she doesn't, does she?
No, she does not. And now you will never see her the same again.
No, I gotta look this up. No.
I got a couple more. What
cool. Keep coming.
What do you think one of the biggest cons of being famous would be?
The fame.
Yes. Spoken like a true punk rock legend.
Yeah, I don't want to be that successful.
I mean, I guess anything on social media. Like Paul does all social media stuff. The Terrible Texan account. I haven't posted in like over a year. I just don't keep up with it. I think it'd be annoying to keep up with. But I think it's a necessary process to be famous these days.
Nowadays, yeah. For anybody to even like listen to your music now.
Oh, for sure. You know, and Avery, you're absolutely right. And it's like, you know, if you haven't posted in over a year, I was that way for the longest time. I was off of Facebook and Instagram and all that for like 5 years. And it's real. And I came back to it because of my band was really starting to ramp up shows again and starting this podcast, right? And yeah, it's just wild to get back on to like Facebook and social media and shit like that and just see, like, you know, you don't hear things anymore from people. You know, it's all posted onto a timeline or a tweet or what the fuck ever. And it's really interesting. It's like a weird social experiment almost.
It really is. I mean, I really just use it to communicate with people that like our music. That's what it's all about, is just the community and just building connections and building bonds with other people. I've made so many new friends from making music. It's been wonderful. It's been a great experience. It's helped me tremendously in my life.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. All right. I have one more question. But before we get into that, as always, links are listed below, so please give a like, a share, and a follow. Please buy merch on the Bandcamp page. Go support these people in any way you can, and every way you can, because that's what it's all about. It is about the brotherhood and sisterhood of the scene, and, you know, the support and the love for the game and for the music and all of that. Do you all have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody before we go today?
N-Gazer.
Yeah.
100% N-Gazer. N-Gazer is a true legend. He is a solo doom metal guy, also from even further north than me, and he is one of the most talented musicians and songwriters I've ever met.
Hell yeah.
What else? I'm going to say our parents. You know, Calvin and I are related, and our parents are like some of our biggest fans and pushing us all through this. So that's it.
You probably just want to thank Dave Mustaine, don't you?
All right.
Give a shout out to my Uncle Dave.
I love Dave Mustaine, man.
Oh gosh. You know, it's funny because you say that, and I just recently watched a clip from George Carlin, and he sits there and says, he's like, my Uncle Dave, your Uncle Dave, everybody's Uncle Dave.
Yep.
It made me think of that. It's like, and you know, everybody's Uncle Dave is pissed off because he got cheated in life, and then it makes even more sense now.
Yep. Bill Hicks, George Carlin, all those guys, big influences on me.
Oh, absolutely.
For better or worse, I don't know yet.
I think it's better, honestly.
Probably.
For my life, it's definitely better. So, final question of the day, and this one is the tough one. This is the reason why we ask these questions here, because it's a put you on the spot kind of thing.
Oh boy.
If you had to lose any one of your five senses, what would it be?
Oh, easy. That's easy.
Why? Why is it easy for you?
I don't know. How often do you really like the only time I've used my smell is when I'm like, wow, that smells really bad. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I was a smoker for years, and I lived in San Diego. I can do without my sense of smell.
Wow. That's not even like tough at all.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll stick with that one too. That seems like a pretty big, that's a unanimous choice.
That's easy.
Wow. Three on no smell. Wow. See, I mean, personally, I like the smell of like bourbon and stuff. But, you know, ultimately, I think it would affect your taste as well because it's all part of the same deal.
Yes, but I'm willing to make the sacrifice because I still keep some of my taste because that's the other one, the other sense.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. Wow.
Maybe brain would repair some pathways, so
maybe you would taste more, or hear more, or something.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Wait, what's that now?
You cut your nose off, and now you can hear better.
Yeah, you know, you like lose a sense, so you lose the sense, and it enhances other ones.
Like a superpower.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they definitely say that about blind people is they have, a lot of them have great hearing. Like they can hear, you know, for lack of a better term, a mouse fart in the other room, you know. But seriously, I'm sure that that's something that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so smell.
Hell yeah.
Terrible Texan says smell.
The Terrible Texan says no smell all around. Paul, Calvin, Avery, thank you all so much for coming on the Metal Forge this week. This has been a blast. This has been super fun. I've had a really good time. On the way out, let's say we Playing in Pollution.
It would be an honor.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. So here it is. This is from the Terrible Texan. This is Playing in Pollution.
There is no solution.
let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code METALFORGE10 to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code METALFORGE10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.